Yeah, you think exterior around the home, having the landscaping taken care of, or it's not having to, they're not having to go out there and take care of that, and walking them through what needs to be done. And then for me, I like to train my tenants on how they submit, whether it's a maintenance request, of course, treating the customers right, treating all your clients right. There's several different customers in the property management circle.
Thanks for joining us on another REI-NWA podcast. This is episode 36, and we are going to be digging into aging in place for elderly tenants for you landlords out there. And I'm your host, Coley Bailey. I am principal broker at Lone Rock Realty, and I'm so excited to have with me Brian Clark.
Good to see you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, good to see you, man. I'm glad to have you on the show, and you got a lot of cool things going on. So I want to dig into a lot of things even other than this topic. But before we get into that, I do want to rewind the clocks a little bit.
Sure.
And find out a little bit more about you, where you're from.
Yep.
How you got into doing what you're doing now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm from here, grew up in Springdale, and went to the University of Arkansas. I got a degree in real estate finance, and that's kind of where I began to find my passion for real estate. Did an internship at a local commercial firm and realized, okay, this is fun stuff. I want to get into it. That was back in like 2010, 2011, during the Great Recession. So there was a lot going on. And I went to a local firm and they said, hey, sit in the bull room or field phone calls, and kind of just started from there. So was a leasing agent for about 2 years and then became a property manager. Okay. And I was like, okay, I like this stuff. It's different than sales. I like sales, but I like property management more. I like the structure of how things are set up. It's really difficult and really easy at the same time. Kind of weird thing to say, but that's kind of how I view it. Comes in cycles.
It was a fit for you.
It was a fit for me, I think, in my personality, and I kind of grew into it a little bit. So that position was really great because I got to cut my teeth property management and learn just what it takes to be a property manager. Did that up until about 2018, 2019, and I got a little cabin fever. I was like, well, we're doing good here, but I want to do something else. I took a wild stint, and I went to be a buyer at Walmart for a couple years. Learned a ton up there. They taught me sense of urgency, detail, how to read a P&L, how to run really fast and work really hard that I never learned like I did at Lindsay over there. And so at Walmart, I spent a few years there, met my wife. Right when the pandemic hit, I was like, you know what? It's time for me to get back into real estate. My wife didn't know that real estate side of me. I met her at Walmart, so I came home one day and I said, hey, I'm going to get into real estate. And she's like, you're going to do what? I was like, no, I'm going to get back into real estate, and I'm going to go open up my own firm and do like what I want to do. And she was, she was just like, well, I believe in you, but I don't know what you're doing. I don't know, let's go. But this is wild. And so that was in 2021 when I officially got going.
Okay. And so I
started ABC Property Management.
Right.
And from there, I just got a Google page and just took it off, just kind of bootstrapped the business to where it is today. And so as of today now, we have about 150 units, about 100 single-family units, and then about 50 commercial units. Okay. So totaling about 300,000 square feet.
Wow.
In the commercial world versus residential, it's kind of split. I enjoy both. The commercial challenges me on a level that I like to be challenged, and the residential's great as well. So we kind of run. We focus on commercial and residential property management. So
yeah, and we just started Lone Rock Realty just within the last month here.
Congrats.
And so thanks, man. So we should talk later.
Absolutely.
I've got a lot to pick your brain about. But yeah, the property management side it's one of those things, so specialized. Yep. It's one of those things I don't even know if I want to jump into that, at all. So
yeah, there's a lot. I think what I've learned the most of my experience of what I've had is it all comes down to systems and processes. Of course, treating the customers right, treating all your clients right. There's several different customers in the property management circle, but just treating everybody right and working with a sense of urgency and looking at the details to make sure things are taken care of.
Yeah. So you've got a landlord lunch coming up.
Yep.
This is going to be June 20th in Springdale. Yep. And the topic for this is really dealing with those landlords who are serving an aging population.
Yep.
The baby boomer generation is the biggest generation up to that time, And so let's talk a little bit about what features people need to be including in their properties to really serve this aging population.
If you're wanting to make sure that you're being able to attract everybody, a property that is easy to get into, not a bunch of stairs. If you have stairs, you could build a ramp if you really wanted to attract a certain crowd, but just having a property that's accessible and not a lot of risk around the property. So if that makes sense.
Yeah. Now, what about other accessibility concerns, even within the house? I mean, are you seeing the need for ADA, wider doors? I don't know. Things like that.
So honestly, I'm seeing the population of the baby boomer population. They're going more towards a new construction. I got a good flow. That's a huge blessing of new construction homes that are coming in for us, and that is where we're seeing the influx of baby boomers coming in and renting those properties out. So I'm not seeing like a lot of structural updates or moving walls or moving doors, but just the simplicity of a one-story is typically a pretty important aspect or attribute. Just having a good walking space around, not having 5 stairs to go to the garage, not having an extremely sloped backyard if they want to be outside, and just some of the simple things around a house that sometimes people take for granted. A college town, you can kind of slap anything together, and college students are going to figure it out.
Right.
But you got to think a little bit more strategic when it comes to the baby boomers.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, for the college students, it's like, convert a garage, make a tree house, put a tent out there.
Yeah, 10 stairs, no problem. Yeah. So, but a little bit different. So it's a great resource to go after the baby boomers. There's so much going on.
Do you see that they're like a lot of people are, selling the house that they've owned for 20 years and then they're renting and like they're kind of finishing out?
I saw a little bit of that at the beginning when I first got my business going. I don't see as much of that now. We get a few calls. I mean, we're getting a good amount of calls per month on different, prospects of wanting us to work with them. The market's changed so much that those calls that I were getting, a lot of them were going towards, they were trying to do short-term rentals.
Yeah.
And that's something that we stay out of. I did that for a year, learned a ton, decided it's not for me. But
it's hospitality. It's different than property management.
But that's something that I'm seeing. The people that are saying, hey, I'm going to move out of my house, I'm typically seeing younger people, our generation, and then they're doing the buy and hold strategy, and they're moving, every 3 or 4 years, and they're doing that, but not as much the baby boomers.
Yeah. So if you've got older tenants, though, if you're a landlord and you've got older tenants that are coming to you, or you're trying to, attract, that generation of folks. I mean, even aside from like single story, safety, accessibility, that kind of stuff, any like advice on amenities? I mean, does it need to be a more upgraded home? Does it need to have a nicer feel? Yeah, you think exterior around the home, having the landscaping taken care of, or it's not having to, they're not having to go out there and take care of that. The industry, the property management industry, is also seeing a big influx of tenant services, where a tenant will say, hey, I'll pay an extra $100 a month if you come in, change my air filters, check out my property, and do just the little things around the house for them. I haven't dove into that in my business yet, but around the country, when I go to different conferences around the country, just like a done-for-you model.
Done-for-you model. So it's something to think about. It's definitely something I'm going to look at this fall. And whether you're a property manager or just an owner, there's services out there that can take care of you on that. So happy to talk with you and kind of give more references on some of those people. So
cool. One more thing to touch on here. What about dealing with technology with older generations? Yeah, you
got to be patient. But at the end, the result can be sometimes easier once you get them on par with where you need to be. Getting them to be set up in a tenant portal, getting them to be able to go through, whether it's your email, and then the tenant portal isn't the easiest thing to communicate with or to work with sometimes from my side.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of offering that extra reach out of a hand and walking them through what needs to be done. And then for me, I like to train my tenants on how they submit, whether it's a maintenance request or how they notify us, and kind of walking them through how you submit a maintenance request, what that looks like to be able to get onto the portal and do that. But you got to be able to just also take the phone call.
Yeah.
Because as much as I want to push my team and all this technology that helps us in certain ways, you got to answer the phone. Yeah. Text is important too. We have a mass text line that we work through. Text and phone call, it's still the basics of how you take care of a customer, how you take care of them. So
you're still going to get those people that they want to fill out a check. Right. And they want to.
And we've tried to work with them on, hey, we can make this a lot simpler for you. So maybe you can fill it out once. And then are you okay with, we do an auto draw or do different things like that.
Yeah.
But like even like a few months ago now, time flies, I installed a Dropbox at my office to make sure that, hey, everybody, if there is something, they can come by and just take care of it that way. I try to get away from paper, but I will not 100% be away from paper. You got to take care of what the client wants to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
all right. So these are some really, really good points. Another thing that I do want to bring up, though, is fair housing, right? You can't, I mean, obviously, if we already have older tenants and we want to keep them happy and we want to extend that, that landlord-tenant relationship, and we want to serve them really, really well, these points are going to make a lot of sense. One thing I think it might be important for us to talk about is, can you advertise as it's, this is a senior rental only, or?
Sure. So I'm not. There are neighborhoods out there that, that have a 55 and older or 60 and older demographics, but there's still a lot of gray areas around that.
Yeah.
I'm just going to advertise for what this property can do and how it can fit somebody. If it's extra flat or something like that, we might have pictures to show that. Mm-hmm. As a principal broker, I always try to make sure that I'm very careful with how I advertise, because I'm not trying to screen a red line from somebody else.
Right. If something is, wheelchair accessible,
I will do that.
You can say that in there.
For sure. Yeah. If it's been modified, yes, you can say, hey, you can click on an attribute on ADA, on what that looks like.
It's got rails in the shower.
Yeah. And showcasing it in the remarks, hey, rails in the shower, easy access into the shower, large bathroom, even stuff like the overall accessibility of a property. There's definitely ways you can showcase that. So.
Yeah. But that wouldn't preclude somebody from, being a family with 3 kids that could also use that space. And,
absolutely. No. Yeah. Open to all.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, man, thanks for this insight. We're going to dig into more of this at the Landlord Lunch.
Absolutely.
Again, everybody, this is going to be June 20th at noon at the Wagon Wheel Cafe in Springdale. Come on out and meet Brian and get to pick his brain a little bit, get to get some networking in. As always, $20 at the door if you're not a member, $0 if you are. Also, remember that REI-NWA membership gets you 4 programs every single month. And in addition to all the past programs that we've ever recorded, which is years worth of great content to help you with your real estate investing. So with that, man, I got to thank you. This is a good, very important topic.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us on this one. We'll catch you on the next REI-NWA podcast.